My fiancé Michael, 25M, and I, 28F, have been together for almost 4 years now, and we got engaged a couple of months ago. Our relationship has been fairly normal and well received by our families, except for his mother. Even while we were dating, and he had introduced me to his family, I had understood that even if the rest of the family approved of me, it wouldn't matter to her because she did not like me and she had made up her mind about it. She always had a bit of an attitude while interacting with me, and I got this vibe that she felt like she was better than me. I did try to befriend her several times, but it never worked, and I even discussed it with Michael, but he just told me that we can't do anything about it because that's just how his mother functions. She doesn't approve of anybody who isn't exactly the kind of woman that she likes, down to the very last detail, and I already don't fit into that criteria by being older than her son. Even if it's just 3 years, she thinks that it makes a huge difference and that it's weird for me to be dating him. On top of that, she doesn't think that I'm a good fit for the family either because I don't come from a wealthy family myself, as they do. Michael's family owns a catering and event management business, perhaps one of the biggest and most well-known ones in the city, that had been started by his grandparents, and now he's going to inherit the business once his parents retire. But I don't really care about that. I didn't even know that he came from a family like this when I first started dating him. It honestly doesn't make any difference to me what kind of money he makes because I'm an independent woman and have been working since I was 18, trying to make sure that I wouldn't have to rely on anyone for money, so I take pride in that. Both my parents have had pretty normal jobs and are really ordinary people. My mom is a registered nurse and my dad was a software developer. He passed away when I was in college. But they had raised me to the best of their abilities, and when I found out that Michael's mom suspected me of being a gold digger, I found that quite offensive because I tried my best to keep our expenses equal while Michael and I were dating. It was very clear that she looked down on me for reasons that were really petty and mean, so after some time, I stopped putting in an effort to get her to me because I knew that would be pointless. Michael did fight for me, but he had to also stay on good terms with both his parents since his mother also played an active role in the business, and it would get really awkward for him at work to constantly be picking fights with his mom, and I understood that. However, after something that happened recently, he has completely cut his mother out of his life, and even though they do see each other at work, he tries not to interact with her, and I'm the one being held responsible for this, even though I don't understand how I'm supposed to be fixing any of this. So like I said, Michael and I got engaged about 4 months ago, and on the night of our engagement, something really weird happened. His mom took me aside a few minutes after he had proposed, and I had accepted. She told me that she wanted to apologize to me for everything that had happened before this, the way she had treated me badly, and for suspecting me of having anything but the best intentions at heart. She sounded really sincere, and I was also pretty happy that night, so I accepted her apology and we decided that we were going to start afresh. After all, her son and I were going to start a new chapter of our lives soon enough, so why not give her a chance as well? Ever since Michael and I got engaged, his mother had been exceptionally nice to me and had even been taking a keen interest in wedding planning. In fact, she had pretty much taken over the process, along with us, which was a bit inconvenient because what Michael and I really wanted was a small-scale, intimate, and cutesy kind of wedding. I wanted that for myself because I'm a bit of an introvert and massive celebrations are really not my thing. Michael, well, that's pretty much his job, so he didn't want his wedding planning to feel like work to him. So both of us had agreed upon the fact that we wanted a small wedding, but once his mother started getting involved, things started changing because she wanted a huge wedding for us. She insisted that we could always have a small ceremony for us and our families privately later on, but she insisted that she wanted to throw a grand and lavish wedding for her only child. So she pretty much played an active role in the wedding planning, and it was quite exhausting because whatever she suggested, we really didn't want that, so it was difficult for us to come to a common ground. Michael got into frequent arguments with her while planning because he just wanted everything to be scaled down and she wasn't ready for that, and I ended up playing the mediator in the situation because I had just started getting along with his mother. I didn't want to ruin it, even though I didn't agree with her either. That's how it had been going for the past couple of months, and it felt like the wedding that we had wanted. That was quite far from us at this point. Most of the planning was taking place right in front of us, but the one thing that his mom had said that she was going to handle all on her own was the floral decorations and arrangements. And we let her take over that department entirely as well because that's pretty much her forte, and at least that would get her off our back for a few days. But then, a couple of days ago, I received an email saying that the floral arrangements for my wedding had been finalized, and it was shocking for me because the order that had been placed mentioned sunflowers in quantities that would prove dangerous to my health, given that I am severely allergic to them. It's an isolated allergy and I'm already asthmatic, so that would make it difficult for me to breathe and also lead to hives, especially when I'm exposed to sunflowers in the kind of quantities that had been mentioned in that email. I thought that there must have been a mistake, so I even phoned the florist to ask what this was all about, and I was told that it was Michael's mother who had placed that order for the wedding and had even confirmed it herself. She knew for a fact that I was severely allergic to sunflowers in particular and could not be exposed to them, especially so many of them, and yet she had gone out of her way to order those for the wedding. She had overlooked the fact that all the wedding expenses were being put on the tab for their business, and management had been given instructions to forward all wedding-related emails to me and Michael. I guess she forgot about that and put the order of the flowers on the tab, and I ended up receiving that email. I found it hard to believe because that just meant that the past few months had been fake, that she had only been trying to get on my good side so she could eventually ruin my wedding by getting me to trust her and then pull off this stunt. I didn't even bother trying to call her. I directly approached Michael and I told him about that email. I was really disappointed about what had just happened myself, but Michael's reaction to that email was 10 times more intense than that of mine because he was furious. After I showed him that email, he immediately called his parents up and got into a huge fight with his mother. His mom kept trying to claim that it had just been an oversight, but it couldn't possibly have been a mistake because everybody in the family knew that I was extremely allergic to sunflowers in particular. It's not even a common or usual allergy, so I don't know how anybody could just forget. Besides, it's not like sunflowers would even go with the theme that she had suggested, and since flower arrangements were her forte, it was odd that she had gone with sunflowers as her choice, given the color scheme of the wedding. It would clash against the colors of the wedding and she knew it, so we were not buying any of her silly excuses. That was around a week ago and since then, I have had absolutely no contact with her. Michael was also pretty upset because even though he had never approved of his mother's attitude toward me, he had always tried to keep things peaceful. But after this incident, it was clear that she was going to stop at nothing to make me feel like I was not part of the family, even if it meant ruining her only child's wedding. And that was why, after that last fight with his mother, even Michael cut her off. He still has to see her at work and stuff, but he tries his best not to talk to her and things have been very tense. People at work have also taken note of the situation between them and there has been a lot of gossip about it. The most troubled person right now is probably my father-in-law because he thinks that this is not a good look for the company and it's creating a hostile work environment. He has been trying to convince me to speak to Michael and make peace with his mother, regardless of everything that has happened because this is affecting their professional relationship right now. But I really don't think that it's Michael's fault, and that's why I've been trying to explain to him that I think I need to speak to him. It's his mother who needs to apologize to both of us for what she had been trying to do because we are not going to buy the fact that she had just forgotten that I was allergic to sunflowers or it had slipped her mind that they were not going to go with the theme. Whatever she had been trying to do, it had been intentional and had we not caught her in the act, she would have probably succeeded in ruining our wedding and triggered an allergic reaction for me in the process. So we have been going back and forth on that. Recently, even his mother reached out to me a couple of days ago via email and told me that she was being truthful about my allergy having slipped her mind totally and she really did not have any intention of ruining the wedding like we were making it out to be, and she really wanted to give our relationship a chance. She told me that she really wants to be part of the wedding and at this point, only I can make it happen because her son refuses to even acknowledge her existence and even a couple of other members of the family have started to ignore her because they have found out from Michael what had happened, but I haven't responded to that email so far. Michael and I have scrapped all the arrangements that have been made so far because honestly, that was how his mother wanted us to get married. We were never on board with the extravagant wedding in the first place. So now, we are going to do it our way and we are planning on not inviting her to the wedding at all. We have even decided that we are going to get married sooner than expected because now that we are not having a huge wedding, we can get the arrangements done in the next couple of months and then we'll be married. We won't have to wait until the end of the year, like Michael's mother had wanted us to. On the last phone call that I had with my father-in-law, just last evening, he had brought up how badly Michael had behaved with his mother at work earlier that day and had totally ignored her during a meeting. So he told me that I really needed to step in and talk to Michael because nobody else could fix this apart from me. And once again, I told him that I did not think that he was doing anything wrong, at least he was not trying to humiliate or insult her, he had just ignored her. Besides, this was their family business and they chose how to run it, I didn't want to get involved. Then, Michael's father started talking about how we had canceled all the arrangements for the wedding and that's when I told him that we were planning things separately now since we had always wanted a small and private wedding in the first place. And then he asked me if we had any intention of inviting his mother to the ceremony and I decided to be honest with him, and I told him that given the current situation, we didn't want her there. That was a rookie mistake because his father almost immediately started panicking and told me that things were bad enough as it is, not getting invited to the wedding would completely shatter his mother and I needed to do something about this right now. I tried to explain to him that there was nothing that I could do because after what had happened, it would be impossible for me to convince even myself that she had our best interests at heart, let alone Michael's. And if somebody was not our well-wisher, we obviously wouldn't want them at our wedding. But then, Michael's father started acting hysterical and told me that I was making a huge deal out of nothing and that his wife had probably not even intended to hurt us or ruin the wedding like we were making it out to be. He said that we needed to sit down with her, clear the air, and give her a chance to prove that she didn't have any bad intentions and that the sunflower thing had been just an accident. And if we don't, then I would be just as bad as her because I would be judging her on the basis of my preconceived notions about her, as she had done to me. I don't understand if he's trying to manipulate me or if he genuinely feels that way, but regardless, Wibta for not inviting my mother-in-law to my wedding after I found out that she was planning on ruining it. Update 1. So it has been a couple of days since I posted and since then, the only thing that I've done about the situation at hand is just speak to Michael about it. He already knew that his father had been talking to me and trying to get me to convince him to speak to his mother and he had told me to ignore it. The only reason I had continued to speak to my father-in-law was because I actually do get along with him otherwise, and I did not want to ruin my relationship with him because of this. But after I discussed things with Michael, I told him that it was bothering me how much I was being pressured to fix the situation, even though it was really not my fault. He told me that the next time that I am contacted by either of them, I should just tell them that I'm not interested in getting involved. He also told me that he has been quite professional at work. The only thing that has changed is that he doesn't greet his mother anymore and tries not to speak to her. And yes, it has sparked a lot of gossip and speculation about what has actually gone wrong between them, but his parents are exaggerating how much of an effect it has had on their professional relationship. Even the incident at the meeting that they were referring to, where he had apparently ignored her and blatantly disrespected her at work, was really not that bad. She had just said something and made some suggestions, and he had not replied to it directly but had acknowledged it with just a nod of his head. He thought that it was enough, but according to his parents, that was disrespectful. I don't even understand how, but at this point, it just seems like they are reaching out because they want to create an issue out of his behavior so they have something to hold over us. The bottom line is that he hasn't let his personal equation with his mother get in the way of his professional commitments, and I think that's all that matters. He doesn't have to like her to work with her, and that's pretty obvious. I don't understand why his parents are making such a huge deal out of it, and even Michael agrees that they really don't have any reason to keep dragging me into this, because even if I am the only person that they think can fix the situation, they should not be counting on me. If they have a problem with his behavior, they need to pick it up with him and stop bothering me. I've already said that to his father several times now, but now, I know that the next time he contacts me, I'm gonna make it very clear to me, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it like I've been doing so far. Update 2. Hey, so a couple of days ago, Michael and I had decided that the next time his father calls me to discuss him and his relationship with his mother, I just need to tell him that I'm not gonna get myself involved. So today, when his father called me, after some small talk, when he brought up what we usually talk about lately, I made it very clear to him that I'm not interested in discussing it anymore. I had been trying to explain this to him for the past couple of weeks, ever since that incident with the sunflowers and the email, but so far, he had been ignoring me. And I told him that it was just not cool that he was trying to make me feel like I was responsible for any of this, because I was really not. If there was a problem that he had to take it up with his son and his wife and not with me. It's not my responsibility to maintain the peace of their family, especially when I have always been treated badly by his wife. She set the tone of our relationship by disrespecting me in the past, and now, it's really stupid of her to expect me to be on her side and believe that she did not have any bad intentions and didn't want to ruin our wedding. My father-in-law seemed a bit shocked that I had taken such a serious tone with him, because usually when I talk about these things, I try my best to keep things nice and cordial. This time, I sounded pretty annoyed. However, I'm thankful that he seemed to understand that I was done with this discussion, and he told me that he had only been trying to talk to me about this because at the moment, neither his own son nor his wife were in a state to communicate anymore, and he thought that I could do something about it by talking to Michael. He said that he himself had been trying, but every time that he tried to bring it up with Michael, the discussion ended as soon as it began, because Michael would just leave or hang up or whatever. And trying to speak to his wife about it was pointless, because ever since Michael had stopped speaking to her after that fight, she had been devastated and she really wanted to talk to him, but she had been cut off from everywhere. She was in a very fragile emotional state currently, and just kept insisting that she did not have any intentions of ruining our wedding. But of course, we didn't believe that, and I still don't, to be honest. Crying about it is not going to change the facts, and I'm gonna stand by that. I do feel bad about the fact that she has been breaking down about it ever since Michael cut her off, but I really don't think that I should feel responsible or guilty about it, because I did not create this situation. I might have even believed that it was an accident had she not treated me terribly in the past, so even if I wanted to, I really can't help but doubt her. Anyway, my father-in-law told me that he could understand why I was not inclined to believe Michael's mother about her intentions, or why I didn't even want to get involved in the first place, so he promised me that he was not going to push it anymore with me. He even apologized for bringing it up over and over again in the past couple of weeks. He just told me that he was worried about the future of their professional relationship and also their personal relationship, since things had really taken a hit. A lot of relatives so close to Michael are not speaking to his mother anymore and have even blocked her on social media and stuff, so it's pretty serious. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. She mostly just cares about the fact that her own son doesn't want to speak to her anymore and thinks so badly of her that he actually believes that she would do something so dangerous and crazy on purpose to ruin his wedding. I felt really bad for Michael's father at that moment, because I'm sure it couldn't have been easy for him to try and balance all of this for the past couple of weeks. But then again, not my circus, not my monkeys. So I told him that I could totally understand where he was coming from, and I really appreciated the fact that he was trying so hard to hold his family together. It just showed how dedicated he was as a family man, and that was really appreciable. However, the only thing that I could talk to Michael about was his professional life and trying to make sure that he kept things all dignified and cordial at work. That was the only thing that I was comfortable talking to him about. Everything else he would have to come to a conclusion about on his own. That seemed to pacify his father, and then, we ended up disconnecting on a good note. It was a conversation that desperately needed to be had, and I'm glad that we had it. I've also spoken to Michael about his father's concerns regarding the work environment, and he has told me that he is going to make sure he takes care to be respectful and cordial with his mother at work, at the very least. And I do agree that we shouldn't let our personal differences affect our working relationships, so I think that's pretty valid. But apart from that, I'm staying out of this, and I'm glad that my father-in-law respects that. Update 3. So today, Michael's mother decided to visit us. It's been close to a month since we stopped speaking to her, and I really wasn't expecting her to show up, but I decided to invite her in and be polite to her when she did ring the bell. We did not speak and waited for Michael to come to the living room, and then she started talking. She looked very upset and exhausted, and that was part of the reason why I'd let her in instead of telling her to stay out, because I didn't want to be disrespectful or petty. Once she started talking, she apologized to both of us and told us that she did not have any intention of ruining the wedding like we believed she did, but she could understand where it was coming from because it wasn't like she had been nice to me in the past. So of course, we would be inclined to believe the worst of her, and she no longer wanted us to feel responsible for that. She realized that in spite of having reached out to us on several occasions so far, the one thing that she hadn't done was try to reach out to us in person and apologize for whatever had happened. So she was here, and she didn't think that we would just forgive her in one day, but it was worth a try. She explained to me that the thing with the sunflowers had genuinely been an accident, and she had thought that the flowers would add a pop of color to the wedding, which is why she had placed that order without thinking it through. While she was speaking, Michael and I said nothing, and when she went silent for a couple of minutes after apologizing, Michael told her that he needed some time to think about it before he could decide whether he wanted to forgive her or not, but whether she would be invited to the wedding or not, that is up to me. So I told her the same thing. I also needed some time to think about whether I wanted her at the wedding or not, because things have gone really sour in the recent past. His mother did not say anything much after that. She just said that she understood, and then she got up and left after saying goodbye to both of us and wishing us the best for the future, even if she was not invited to the wedding. It was quite sad, but at least she had apologized, and that was still an improvement from the situation that we were in for the past couple of weeks. As for the question of whether she is going to be invited to the wedding or not, there are still a couple of months to go, so let's just see what happens. Update 4. So Michael and I got married a couple of days ago, and it was beautiful. We had just the kind of wedding that we had initially wanted, a small and private affair but still beautifully done. Now that we are husband and wife, we are so excited to start a new chapter as a couple, and we are also really happy that we were able to put an end to all the drama. I know you guys must be wondering whether my mother-in-law had been invited or not, and for worse, she was there. We had asked her to give us some time a couple of months ago when she approached us to ask for forgiveness, and she had done exactly that. She had stopped bothering us constantly, and even at work, she would try her best to keep things professional and not get oversensitive about things. If she had to say anything to us, she would get her husband to contact me or Michael, and that's how we would communicate. Mostly it was just her reminding us that she was still very sorry, and she wished us all the best. Gradually, we started warming up to her, and eventually, when we finally sent out the wedding invite, we decided to invite her as well. I still don't know, and I don't think I'll ever be sure if the sunflower incident was actually a mistake or if it had been done on purpose, but now that we were starting a new chapter, Michael and I wanted to leave all of this petty drama in the past. When she found out that she had been invited, she called us up crying and told us that she was really grateful that we had decided to do this, and promised us that she would never let us down again and make up for all the mistakes that she had made in the past. And she did exactly that, because she personally curated a beautiful bridal bouquet for me and even arranged for a stunning corsage for Michael. She told us that it wasn't much, but it was just her trying to apologize to us and make up for everything. There was no trouble at the wedding. It went really smoothly, and she and my father-in-law even delivered a wonderful speech in our honor. It could have gone wrong, I do agree with that, but it didn't, and that's what matters. Overall, I'm really glad that I decided to give her a chance, because it turned out to be a good decision. I wouldn't say that everything has gone back to normal, but who knows, slowly and surely it probably will. But for now, Michael and I only care about leaving for our honeymoon, and that's what we are looking forward to at the moment. Ha!